Our next speaker is Terrill Cosgray.
Okay, so it's unfortunate that Kim pointed to me and Mark actually noticed that I was somebody who actually had agreed with some prepared or unprepared remarks in my case. And, you know, everybody knows that John loves a quotation, especially quotations by people like George Burns. And I'm just not a quotation person, so I really struggled with this speech, but I did finally decide I would come up with a quotation. It has nothing to do with anything else I'm going to say. And that is, you know you're getting older when the candles cost more than the cake. And so John is not quite there yet. We learned tonight he has to turn 72, maybe, before the candles are going to cost more than the cake, because that's when he becomes half gross. And what I do want to say is that I have known John for a very long time, and I think it's 20 years or so since we've been having lunch every Monday that we're both in town. Now that's a long time to have lunch with somebody every Monday. And I've known John through multiple marriages. Dangerous thing to say, Lisa. Oh, you can tell her about that other.
You got some slaying to do.
So anyway, I do want to say that there's one kind of shocking thing nobody has mentioned yet tonight, and that is that John has actually gotten younger. Now, over these 20 years that I've known him, this is really true. He's actually gotten younger. You know, when people get older, their memory starts getting really bad. Now, when John and I used to go to lunch in those early years, in the you know, back 20, 18, 19 years ago, this is what our typical lunch would be. I would say, well, what book are you reading, John? And he would say, oh, I'm reading that book by, what's his name? I can't remember. He said, what are you reading? And I would say, oh, I'm reading that book, and it's called, oh, I can't remember. Okay, well, what movies have you seen since last week? And that our whole lunch would be, well, John would be saying, I'm taking notes, I'll go back to the office, I'll look this up. I can find out the name of that person you're trying to describe in that movie, that actor that you can't remember the name of. And so, guess what? It's really odd, and I've noticed this in the last few years. Do you remember those years when we couldn't remember any name of anything? The book we had on our bedside table, we couldn't remember the names of it. Now, John never forgets anything he's reading. Anything at all. He knows the title of every book, the author, I think even what day and year it was published. He's got it all. His mind has just become a trap for information. And I've been thinking about this, and I'm wondering, why is this? You know, my memory hasn't gotten all that much better. It's gotten a little better, but not as good as John's. And you know why I think his memory's gotten better? He married younger. It's all because of Lisa. He has to be on top of, oh, sorry. He has to keep ahead of this younger woman. And she is substantially younger. Now, my partner is younger than me, but not quite young enough. I don't remember quite as much as John does. He remembers everything. And so, Lisa, I want to thank you. Our lunches have just gotten a whole lot less stressful. And it's all due to you. And seriously, even though John and I started our lunches talking about books we couldn't remember the titles of, you know, one thing I've always remembered, and that is how wonderful it is to have a really spectacular friend who's always been there for me and who I know I can count on. He was there for me in many difficult times when I was coming out as a gay man in particular. He was just a tried and true friend. He even stood up to those nasty people who come into town with their fire and brimstone saying, you know, quotations on the side of their bus. And he had a big, huge argument when they were talking about fags on the street here. And I was like, John. But he's out there having an argument. So anyway, wonderful friendship. And I hope we go on having lunch bunch, at least, maybe 72 more years.